for one reason or the other. But let me make one or two remarks about some of those challenges. When we were in office, Boko Haram erupted first of all in Yobe, not in Borno State. And as I said elsewhere, the president invited me. He said, VP, what do we do? I said, Mr. President, let's invite the service chiefs, give them a deadline. They either put it down or they resign and go. And we called them, and the president addressed them in a military manner. And believe me, within few weeks or months, they put it down. By the time we left, it was down. It was out, completely standard. But after we left, it resurfaced. Again, I read in a United Nations report that Nigeria was terribly under-policed. I went to him and said, Mr. President, I read a United Nations report and Nigeria is terribly under-policed. He said, what do we do? I said, well, we have many police colleges that have been closed across the states. We should reopen them and hire as many policemen as possible. And we did that. And then it came to the issue of procurement of the equipment for the police, from arms and ammunition and so on and so forth. I said, Mr. President, let's call the police. Let them tell us where do they procure these items, which countries. And the police gave us the countries. I said, let's call the ambassadors of those countries and deal directly with them. Let them produce those equipment we need within a record time, which they did. We didn't go through contract system because contract procedure was cumbersome. This was how we left. We still have a deficit. Today, we have 340,000 policemen in a population of 240 million. Tell me how they can police you effectively. In my local government, we don't have more than 15 policemen. We don't have more than 15. And most local governments are like that. Egypt, with almost 100 million population, has police alone, not armed forces, police alone, 1 million police people on the streets. How can we have peace? These are some of the challenges that we have to face squarely. If we don't face those challenges squarely, and let's come also to the issue of education. Yes, the North has been backward in education for quite some time. I went to the president and said, look, I wanted to set up an educational panel, particularly focusing on northern states. And we set up a panel under Professor Adamu Paiki over there, a renowned international economist. And he came out with a blueprint, which I invited all the governors from the northern states in Kaduna and handed over those blueprints for implementation. Not only that, we passed UPE, Universal Basic Education, compulsory, and we made education compulsory for every Nigerian child from primary up to secondary school, compulsory free. We impose education tax. We collect this tax. We pass this tax to the states. I nearly shed my tears when I last visited President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura. I landed at Kazina Airport. From Kazina Airport up to Daura, hordes of Almajiris, 20, 50, 30. This is the home of the foremost Kazina College, where all our First Republic leaders went to. Today is the home of Almajiris in 20s, in 30s, in 40s, till I went to Daura. And from Daura till I came back to the airport, the same. Ladies and gentlemen, these are very serious issues. These issues not only about ourselves, but about our children and grandchildren. It is about our children and grandchildren. Like I used to tell my children, I said, look, I have lived my life. Thank God. But it is about you and about their kids. We better face these challenges seriously, patriotically, not a question of self-enrichment. No, no, no.
This entire country produces less than 6 million tons of rice. That is less than 10% of what Bangladesh produces. Bangladesh is a country that lives on 148,600 square kilometers of land. That is the size of 2 northern states. Niger at 76.3 and Borno at 70.8. Equal to Bangladesh. And Bangladesh has a population of 170 million. So if you divide their 146 by this thing, it's less than about 800 square meters when these two states have over 13,000 square meters. It's a huge land. Niger State has most arable land in this country, cannot see itself. It's 76.3 thousand square kilometers. They are not exporting anything. Netherlands, with 33,000 square kilometers. So Niger State is 2.5 times the size of Netherlands. Yet, they exported 124 billion euros, about over $130 billion of agricultural export. That is exactly 2.5 times what we get from oil. One state. The story is the same everywhere. So the solution is in the north. Look at a state like Taraba. Taraba can produce all the tea and coffee we need at the parks of Mambila. Taraba is 54.4 thousand square kilometers. Seneca, that is taking all their money from tea today, is 55,000 square kilometers. If you divide it by the population, Taraba is 3 times, if not more than that. And all these states are trying around the north and are still paying. This year, into Kafanchan, to Kaduna, to Katsina, to all these around the road. And you see loads of uncultivated land. Go to Morocco and travel from Casablanca to Port of Nigeria on both sides, and you see the difference. We can change the north. Agricultural land that is in the north is dead. Why do we have to do huge projects where we will build a road for 15 trillion? Why don't we use 1.2? If you put 1.5 trillion plus insecurity in the north today, we start dealing with it. We can capitalize that part as 1 trillion, and if you put another 1.2 trillion The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you solve insecurity. I've been to prisons, I've been to places to see what is happening. We need to change it. It is very easy. We need to invest in education. We can't talk about free universal education when people are not going to school. Our children are not in school. I have taken time to go to the north, serve them with their imaginary children. They are the most brilliant people God created. Because I can see children in 9 years and 10 years memorizing Quran. If they can't go to school, we'll test it to them. Where they are learning Quran, they can learn English, they can learn mathematics, they can learn this. It's very easy. And we are doing it in Kaduna and it's working. I went to one in Kaduna, I don't visit there with my brother that when they provided them and paying their teachers now, provided them toilets, provided them everything. If you see the kids, they are changing. Let's invest in them. That's our assets. That's the assets we need. That's the doctors we need. We have a great country that can be changed if our leaders can change the human being.